Star Wars Eclipse is one of those things I think that the fans have just kind of given up on, but we have still leaked information, new details, things that are in the works. Star Wars Celebration came in, for crying out loud, and nothing was said about this game. It's just one of those mysteries in Star Wars that I don't think will ever be, revealed. I really hope at the end of the day that we just get a shadow drop just like Oblivion Remastered, because at this point, they have a similar fate. Literally, Oblivion Remastered was not talked about. It was hinted at. Leaked information led us to believe that it will be released in 2025, and it did. Leaked information got out there, leaked images, and we got game. So I'm not saying that we will get Star Wars Eclipse in 2025. This artwork right here that you're seeing, especially this Darth Jar Jar dude, looks pretty phenomenal. But the high hopes that we have for this game, I think that at the end of the day, it will be pretty bad if all this expectation, it leads to just disappointment. So let's categorize this video. We have leaked images we're going to talk about. Then we're going to talk about the possibilities of the storyline, the trailer, what's going to happen in the game, and is it an RPG-oriented something around that line? And at the end of the day, the release date. When is going to release? Possibly the year at the very least. We can talk about that. But here are the images in order now. The illustration come from a portfolio of an artist who briefly worked on the game. There are 13 images depicting various characters with, similar outfits and some visual things. 3 of them are well known to Star Wars fans: the Zenesian, the Rhodians, and the Gungan, made famously by the Phantom Menace. And we have never seen a Gungan like this, so this dude is a criminal, is a smuggler. You can clearly see the evil face. That's why I said in the beginning, like, this dude gives me a lot of Darth Jar Jar vibes. There are 2 characters that actually stand out. They have file names called Travis and Jotras Kamzak. One is a pretty normal name and the other one is just, one of those backwards things. But it seems like these dudes will play a significant role in this game. Now, Jotras, who is this Ithorian, and I absolutely love his look. I mean, he looks so out there. We have sort of an engineer here too, which will probably work for you. So yeah, there's a bunch of smugglers and all that. This old dude is pretty reminiscent of Captain Rex being old, and if Captain Rex was a smuggler. All in all, a pretty good concept art, a pretty good look for the game, but what is it about? That's the big question in mind for every fan, because we don't have a lot of information. At the end of the day, we don't even know if it's still going on. But since this information leaked, a lot of people this game has been gaining attention, of course, again, because I think personally, if you ask me, I really want an RPG, Elder Scrolls type RPG in Star Wars. That's what we lack. That's what we have lacked even, back in the day when you had KOTOR, when you had Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy. These were significant monuments to the gaming industry for Star Wars. LucasArts held these games as gems, and they were. I played them constantly when I was younger, but the thing is that these games were linear. They had a story and they had a start and a finish. But when you play the Elder Scrolls, and I'm back into the Oblivion Remastered so much so that I really missed playing that game too. Skyrim, Morrowind, all these games just are a world of their own. And I think Star Wars Outlaws really tried. Ubisoft had tried something, experimented something. But for me personally, I don't live in that world really. But in Skyrim, for example, you can literally live in it. You have NPCs, interactable quests, which are very interesting by minute character. My dream, of course, is that one day Lucasfilm Games right now and Bethesda would one day collaborate instead of, Ubisoft and Quantic Dreams, which is making Eclipse. Perhaps this is that kind of a game. This is why I'm kind of frustrated that we don't have any, information. All we have is that they said at the time when it released in 2021, Star Wars Eclipse was the studio's most ambitious project. And this is after Detroit Become Human. That was a pretty big game and I played it, but Quantic Dream now is focused on this game, apparently. So let's talk about the problems too. So the problems are that the lead writer did abandon the studio, did leave, and there was restructuring after that. The studio's owner did raise some questions about the projects and their our future. It's been a mess ever since the announcement of Star Wars Eclipse, and I don't think this game deserves that. If it is one of the more ambitious projects for their studio, and perhaps even for Star Wars, we deserve a lot more information than just these 13 images we have so far, but this is what we get. So let's talk about the supposed release date. There has been many reports suggesting that the game is currently slated to release in 2026. Now this is insider information, leaked information. The thing about it is that if we go by facts, in Star Wars Celebration, we had not a single shred of evidence that this was going to happen, and not even a mention. So again, we go year after year, and Star Wars Eclipse is not even mentioned, not even talked about. And I know a lot of fans cite Cyberpunk 2027. So it was announced in 2011 or 2012, if I'm not mistaken, and it released a decade later. So that game had a lot of time to be developed, curated, and it even had problems in release. Now, today it's a good game, but back in the day when it released, I mean, it was pretty bad, in a pretty bad shape, as with many AAA games right now. But there is virtually no chance that this game releases in 2026. If it ends up being true, I think that the only way this ends up being true is similar to, Oblivion Remastered, because Bethesda never talked about it. Nobody talked about it. We had just a leak in the financials of Bethesda and Microsoft that we saw that Oblivion Remastered is being made and perhaps released in 2025, and it did. So they didn't make any marketing or anything like that, but I don't think these two studios for Star Wars Eclipse would do that. If they did, I think that it would be successful still. I really do. Because it's a Star Wars video game, a gigantic Star Wars video game, perhaps even an RPG. I'm really hoping that it is. We have some story beats that the main character will be a protagonist named Sarah, a female that is a member of the Zaran Empire, and she gets married into a pacifist world. And this is kind of the story, and the story looks intriguing, sounds intriguing, but will it be an open world RPG where you can just chill in the actual game, live in that world that you're trying to show us? I don't know about that. Detroit Become Human was not that type of a game, so I'm not expecting Star Wars Eclipse to be that kind of a game either, but we just don't have any details. And yeah, if you ask me, I would love for Star Wars Eclipse to be shadow released in 2026, just like Oblivion Remastered. Why not? Oblivion Remastered just confirmed that you don't need all that hype and marketing for years, only for fans to be disappointed in the end. They just released the game that day that they announced it, and it has sold millions. That's it. If they do this in 2026 and do this for Star Wars Eclipse, I think it's a win-win. There's just no way that you can lose, because at this point, with the leaks and with Star Wars news and everybody being online, you just don't need 5 trailers in a row and announcements. You just take a giant leap, and I think it will be definitely a success, because the brand name, just like, Elder Scrolls and Star Wars, these are huge brands that just will garner attention for themselves. You don't need hype. But at the end of the day, this is pretty complicated. So I would love to know, what do you guys think too? Do you think this game has been quietly shoved off into the garbage? Or do you think they're still actively making this game, but they don't want to reveal a lot this soon because, well, perhaps they're just in early development? So let me know down below in the comments.